And away we go. Hello everyone. Welcome to Misty Frog Acres. I'm trying to find, there's the camera. Hi. So today I'm doing a how to part up a chicken. Do you like my hair? It's my COVID cut. I'm about to show you all the tools I use. Good old Farmer Dan. Gonna show you how to part a whole chicken. So if you were to buy a whole chicken from Misty Frog Acres, this is how they come. This one's been in my freezer. So basically it's a dipped in a shrink wrap. Inside of it are the offal, and you pull that out, you defrost it, and you'd get it nice and relaxed before you start this process. Now, the tools of successful parting of chickens is as follows. First, Alphadelic IPA. Make sure you have a beer on hand, either for during or after. I'll save mine for after. Gotta have that. And you know, usually you probably don't want to keep that too close to where your chicken is, but I'm just gonna put it right over here. I'm not too sloppy about everything. Then you have your knife. This one here is from a Spanish company called Arcos, A-R-C-O-S, made in Albacete, Spain. And it's a pretty nice knife. What I really like about this is the curve. The curvature on the knife there is really nice for doing certain cuts and stuff when you're trying to get inside of a chicken. And if you're doing several at a time, you want to make sure that you have your sharpener on hand so you can make sure you get a nice strong or sharp steeled edge. So I always keep my steel close. If you're doing a lot, that's the only time you really need it. Otherwise, it's pretty good to go. So anyway, so that's that. Now what I have here is cut gloves. Now here in these cut gloves is another thing. It's an optional kind of thing. But what they do is make it so that you don't cut your hand when you're doing a lot of chickens. Now if you're doing a lot and you're doing them quickly, you definitely want to have cut gloves, because you're going so fast usually when you're trying to part out, say 50 chickens or something like that. You want to have them. So I tend to do like 10 chickens or so at a time when I do it. These have been washed, sterilized, and they're ready to go again. So what we have here is the offal, and that's the heart and the liver that we've kept here on this one. You can also keep the gizzard. We don't like to do it. It takes a lot of time. So you can clean the gizzards if you want. When you get a chicken, you just have to ask us for that specifically. Otherwise, you would just get the liver and the heart in your inside of the bird. Now, the beauty. So this is a pasture-raised chicken. It was raised on our pasture. We put them in these things called chicken tractors, which is basically like a box with chicken wire around it that I drag around the field real slow. And yeah, they get on fresh grass every day, and then they're also fed grain. And then of course you got to have your rag for wiping things up. Now, as you can see, when you get the chicken and it's defrosted and everything, what you have here is when we butcher them, we do a little cut here, and then we wrap the legs underneath it, and so that's what you get. And so that's how it's packaged when you come and get it. Now I'm gonna move this off over here, and that'll be where my stuff goes. Actually, put that over here. So Sharon wanted chicken pot pie tonight for dinner, so we defrosted a couple chickens yesterday. You don't really have to part a chicken to make chicken pot pie. You could just throw it in the Instapot if you wanted to. But I thought, hey, what a great opportunity for me to teach people about Misty Frog Acres and what we've been doing for the past 6 years. So anyways, this here chicken, I think, was about a 4.5 pounder. They come in at 4 to 5 pounds usually. And I usually run 100 at a time. We do 2 batches, so we do 200 a year. And they're all pre-sold this year, so that's good. Well, not actually, half of them are pre-sold, and then people who want to have some can always reach out to us. Send us a shout out over here on the video, even if you want. and Sharon will get out in touch with you. So anyways, what I'm doing here, so I'm just was showing you like the chicken here. So basically, you know, you got the parts of the chicken. You're gonna want it. We're gonna pull the 2 wings off. We're gonna get the breast out on each side. So I'll pull the breasts. We're gonna do the legs, and then underneath the breasts, you'll see once they flipped open, there's the tender on the inside, which is the piece that kind of is attached to the keel bone, and it goes up under the wishbone. So I'm just gonna teach you some stuff here on how to do it, and hopefully you'll be able to see everything okay. I've done this a couple times and I've watched the video, so I'm hoping this one is the best one yet. So anyways, to begin with, you make sure your chicken's nice and defrosted. You can make sure it's all good. You just want to do a tiny little cut right here, and all you're doing is opening up the skin on each side, right? And this is more about tearing than about cutting, and that's something that I think a lot of people don't really know about butchering. You really want to tear and not cut a lot of the time. So what I've done here is I've opened it up, and now the leg's even more relaxed. You can see there, it's kind of relaxed all the way back down and into the hip socket, which is where the really strong attachment is. And what's going to happen here is once I get it relaxed, and I'll show you here, I'll be doing a cut that comes around this hunk right here. You can kind of see this. Comes back down and goes around down here by the tail, and then you'll have a thigh and leg and all the meat you can get off of it. All right, so now I've nicked it open, I've stretched it out. What you want to do is you put your thumbs right back here on the back of the pelvis, and you just want to do a gentle popping motion, and what you've done now is separated the bone from the socket, and you can see it right there. It's popped through. Both sides, you've popped it through. So now you don't have anything except meat attaching the bone or attaching the chicken to the carcass. So then what you want to do is you take it, you've relaxed it, you know you're good. You kind of take your knife here, and you see this piece here that I was talking about earlier, is you want to get that. That's a nice chunk of meat right there. What you do is you follow this line here, and you just kind of push on it, and the knife opens it up for you. And then you just bring her around it, just like that. You get as close to that bone as you can, and you see that's the socket. You wanting to get away from that, so go around that, and then you see how the knife is sitting there now. You've come through, you've gotten that chunk of meat off, and then you're coming down this line here, and that's this line right here. Try and show you so you can see it, but it's right down along there. Now you're going to save all your chicken, you're going to turn it into broth and whatever, but now you just basically drag the knife real nice and easy, and boom, you've got a really nice thigh and leg out of it. And that's how you get your first leg, right? Set her over there. Same thing on this side. I'll go a little bit faster this time, and you can do it both ways. I like to get it so that it's laying on its side. I get the first one off, and then I can kind of get a look at where that meat is, and I'm pulling, you see, with my thumb as I'm doing it, and what it's doing is helping free up the muscle from the rest of the chicken. And then you're trying to get as much of the meat as you can. That was a pretty good cut there. You see here, there's barely anything left on the bone. This one's a little bit more on this side. That's okay. There's meat in this tail here also. This is all going to go into this pot, and it's going to become soup. So there you go. There's leg number 2. Pretty straightforward. Let's take a look at those guys, huh? Boom. Now, the same thing could happen if you wanted to separate the thigh. You just kind of feel in here with your thumb. You feel where that socket is. And what you want to do is you follow these natural fat lines a lot of time in butchering. And what you do is you just score it, and then you kind of pull, and it separates stuff. I'll see if I can do one real quick here for you guys. So if you wanted to separate the thigh off, you just kind of push. See, I'm putting back pressure on the knife here, almost using it like a wedge, right? And then I'm dragging, and as I'm dragging, I'm kind of manipulating the joint socket around there. And then I freed it up there. Boom, you got a thigh, and you got a leg. All right. I won't do it on this one. You know, I hoping that this is helpful for people. The great thing about learning how to part out a chicken is, first of all, if you ever have to kill one of your chickens, say you have some egg layers and you're like, geez, I don't know what to do with it. I've never, you know, always buy it packaged or whatever. Maybe some of you are like well beyond that now. Hard to say, but I thought it'd be a good thing for people to know. I know people are buying chickens right now so that they can get eggs, because eggs have been in a little bit of a short supply there with COVID-19, and some of the factory lines and stuff have been messed up in general in the factory farm world. So it's good. It's good to learn about this stuff and learn how to do it on your own. Anyway, so on this one, this is a really important cut here, and the reason why is because you see this here, this is all your breast muscle right here, and that's your nice chunk of meat, your white meat. You want to avoid cutting into that too much, because, you know, if you were selling chickens and you were parting them out, you'd want to make sure your breast, because it sells for a higher price, you have the maximum amount of breast on it, etc. Plus, people want a nice cut of meat. So anyway, you can kind of see how that joint works there, you know, a little bit of a twist here. It shows you what I like to do, and not everyone does it the same way, of course, but I like to get back and under that, like, right away. And what that does is freeze that bone up there, if you can see it, from the socket. So I cut this back part out first so that I can get in there to that socket. And what we're trying to do, again, is free it up from the bird. So then I just work my way around, and I go nice and easy here near the breast meat, especially because it kind of comes in a scoop shape that goes like this. So here you kind of have to do a tricky maneuver around it there. And again, you're putting back pressure against the meat with the back of the blade. Like, imagine, you know, that's overdoing it, but that's what I'm doing basically. I'm just kind of, and then I'm just using the knife as a blade, and I kind of pull the meat into it and slide it in such a way. So there you've got your wing scenario. You know, a lot of people at the store, you know, you're not going to have this tip on it, but whatever. I always just keep them all together. I bundle them up and I barbecue them. Boom, done. All right, so now I've freed this arm up here as well, or wing, I should say. Now, see, on this one, I kind of missed a little bit of the meat here. It's not too much, but still, you know, it's going to go into your soup, and you're going to get chunks out of it. So I freed it up. I always make sure and free that up first, and then I work my way to the front, because I don't want to screw up my breast, because I always want my breast meat to be as intact as possible. And so it's hard to do with the camera up above, but you can kind of see what I'm doing here. I'm working pretty slow there, but now I've popped it completely out. It's away from the breast, and you get a nice hunk of meat on the end there. So you got little drumettes and everything. You know, so there you have it. So now we've got 2 wings done, separated, looking really good. This is a smaller bird. We usually tend to keep the smaller ones because we like to give our clients larger birds. There's a drumstick, there's a thigh, and then here's the fully intact leg. You can do it either way. I like to barbecue them this way. If I'm going to do like deep fry it, then I'll just do the drumettes, because that's how the boys like to eat it. And I'll bone out, and I'll even show you that really quick, because it's super easy. I bone out the thigh, because that's really great for stir fries and stuff. So then I just work my way all the way along it, bone it out, and now you've got a boneless. You got to get rid of that little piece of cartilage there, but you know, there's the bones gone. Cartilage, we'll throw that right into there, because that's going to be our soup. And now you got a really nice piece of stir fry. You know, you can cut that up, have some stir fry lunch or whatever. All right, so there you go. There's the wings and the legs. All right. Might feel a little slow if somebody's watching the whole thing right now, but I'm trying to do it so that people can come back and check it out in the future date. So now what's happened here when you've separated the wing is you have this hole in the skin. You got holes in a couple different spots, but I like to come here to the wing side, and you see this marbleized section here of the fat. I just get my finger underneath there. And what I do is you just tear open this casing, and then you just kind of hard with the cut gloves on. Not something I normally do if I was just doing one chicken, but I thought I'd show you guys because nobody likes to cut themselves. Nobody wants to go to the hospital right now, that's for sure. I certainly don't. So, anyways, so there you go. I peeled all that casing back. You know, there's some more there and whatever. So now our goal is to get this nice piece of breast out. There's a way to do it where you butterfly it, and the key for a butterflying is not to separate this part here, because usually what you do is you come down along the side here, you flip it up, and then you cut away from the keel bone. But what you would do is just cut it here. Maybe I'll show you guys. I don't know. Maybe this would be that's kind of a more technical. So I'll just go with a standard breasting. So anyway, all right. So you see what I just did there? I push again. I'm pushing back pressure on that. I'm just laying the blade on there, and I'm just kind of dragging it along, following how I can feel the rib cage there, and I just follow it all the way down, right on down to there. And now I've separated that, and what you want to do is stick your thumb in there, and that's the tearing. Again, this is the tearing motion I was talking about before, and you want to tear that free from there. And then you see you've got your breast here, and your inside of the breast you have your tender. And so what you do is you free your breast up with your thumb kind of all the way down to the wishbone up here. The wishbone is the bone that's underneath right here. You know, there's like a couple little things attaching things here and there. But so now the maneuver is you want to come up this side here on this side I said on this side of the of that bone right there. That's the wishbone, that you can kind of see it right there. But you want to come up that side, and then you want to work your way along from the inside, and you're going to be working this line here. And it's a pretty smooth motion. You just go like that. You keep an eye on it so you're not cutting into your other breast side at that point right there. And that's where I was talking about, where it's actually joined together. You can make a butterfly breast, and you can do all kinds of fancy French meals and stuffed chicken breast, whatever, if you're going to do that. But for me, boom. And see, that wasn't even perfect. I left a tiny bit there. But there's your breast number one. Same thing on this side. I kind of do it opposite because I'm, you know, left-handed and right-handed. I go up one side and down the other. So I'm going down the way the chicken is sitting right now. Guys, I'm still doing this. So then all the way down there, and you're just doing that little drag, and then you take your thumb, push against that rib cage there, get it freed up from the breast. Come up here, make sure you're freed up in all your spots there. There's one little spot there, okay. Come down, and once again, you know, and you can use the weight of the chicken too a lot of the time. And you're coming along, and there you go, there's another breast. You got two breasts, and then you got your tender. Now you can see here, I nicked this tender here, so that kind of bulged out past its casing, and then I left a little bit here. Again, it's not a, you know, this is all going in, and it's not like I'm trying to maximize my gain right now for selling a parted out bird. But anyway, there's your two tenders. Now this cut's kind of tricky. It's just one that you need to know about because it's how you get a perfect breast out. You come down this line like so. You're crisscrossing. It's an X shape, so you're going along the wishbone on this side, and then you come to that side of it on this side. So you just kind of go from the outside to the inside of this bone. You can see that, I hope. It's hard to hold it and show you that. And then the same thing on this side, from the outside to the inside on there. Now you've got your tenders opened up. Cut them off. Here's one. To free that one up a little more. I didn't quite get deep enough on my cut. That's okay. No big deal. And there's your other. You got your carcass left. If you were going to package this up and freeze it, you know, you just break it and then stick it in the vacuum sealer and throw it in the freezer. But in the meantime, we're just turning it into soup. We'll be boiling that. So here you have it. Two breasts, two tenders, 2 legs. This is the thigh and the leg, if you didn't see that part. And I deboned it, so that one's ready to go. And then we got 2 wings. And that is your parted up bird right there. And then of course, over here we have the heart and liver, which were in really good shape, really nice looking. Be great for liver pate, or chicken pate, I should say. Yeah, and so there you have it. If you want to order birds from Misty Frog Acres, this is how you'll get it. And this is what you can turn it into. I hope you enjoyed this little session on how to part your own bird up. And always remember, be safe. Use cut gloves, sharp knives. Make sure you're ready to go and you have a clean surface. Alright everyone, our love to you from the farm. Farmer Dan signing out.